The space station floated among the stars like a giant metal flower. Thousands of ships came and went from its docking ports every day. This was the Trilarian Trade Station, the biggest marketplace in this part of the galaxy. Here anyone could buy or sell almost anything. Weapons, ships, food, technology, even information. If it existed, someone at this station was selling it. Captain Jiho stood at the viewing window of the human shuttle. He watched the massive station grow larger as they approached. Behind him, his small team prepared their equipment. They had traveled 3 weeks from Earth to reach this place. The journey had been long and uncomfortable, but it was necessary. Earth needed weapons, better weapons. Humanity had joined the Galactic Coalition only 2 years ago. Before that, humans thought they were alone in the universe. They were wrong. The galaxy was full of life. Hundreds of alien species lived among the stars. They had their own governments, their own wars, and their own problems. Earth was new to all of this. Earth was weak compared to the older civilizations. "Captain, we're cleared for docking," said Minho, the tactical officer. He was younger than Jiho, but very smart about military matters. "Bay 17. Good," Jiho replied. "Everyone ready?" Hana checked her datapad one more time. She was the weapons specialist on the team. Her job was to understand alien technology and figure out what Earth could use. "I've reviewed Vrekakor's catalog again. His prices are insane. We can't afford even his cheapest items." "We have to try," Jiho said. "Earth's defensive systems are outdated. If another species decides to attack us, we won't last a week." The shuttle docked with a soft thump. The airlock cycled open and the team stepped into the station. The first thing that hit them was the smell. Hundreds of different alien species meant hundreds of different scents mixing together. Some pleasant, some definitely not. The second thing was the noise. Everyone seemed to be shouting in different languages. Translators worked overtime to convert the chaos into understandable speech. Sora, the team's engineer, looked around with wide eyes. This was her first time off Earth. She had only seen aliens on video screens before. Now they were everywhere. Tall ones, short ones, ones with too many arms, ones with no arms at all. Creatures covered in fur, scales, metal, or things she couldn't identify. "Stay close," Jiho ordered. "Minho, lead the way." They walked through the crowded market corridors. Merchants called out to them, trying to sell their goods. Most ignored the humans once they saw what species they were. Earth had no money. Earth had no power. Earth was not worth the effort. After 20 minutes of walking, they reached a section of the station that was quieter, richer. The shops here had actual doors instead of open stalls. The merchants wore expensive clothing and didn't need to shout. Their customers came to them. At the end of a long corridor stood the biggest shop of all. The sign above the door displayed symbols in 12 different languages. The translator in Jiho's ear converted it. Vrekakor's premium armaments, serving the galaxy for 300 years. "This is it," Hana said quietly. They entered the shop. Inside, the walls were lined with weapons. Not actual weapons, but holograms showing what Vrekakor's could provide. Plasma rifles that could melt through steel. Missiles that could track targets across star systems. Cannons that could crack planets open like eggs. Each display showed the weapon in action, destroying something. The message was clear. Buy these or face them. At the center of the room stood Vrekakor's himself. He was massive, at least 3 meters tall. His species, the Krillath, had 4 arms and skin that looked like rough leather. His eyes were completely black, and when he smiled, he showed too many teeth. "Ah," he said, his voice deep and rumbling. "The humans. I was told to expect you." He didn't sound happy about it. "Thank you for meeting with us," Jiho said, bowing slightly. He had researched Krillath customs. A small bow showed respect without showing weakness. Vrekakor's waved one of his hands dismissively. "Let us not waste time. I am a busy merchant. What does Earth want?" Hana stepped forward. She pulled up a list on her datapad. "We're interested in defensive weapons systems. Ship-mounted plasma cannons, missile defense networks, and shield generators. We have a budget of—" Vrekakor's started laughing. It was not a pleasant sound. It echoed through the shop like rocks grinding together. "Defensive weapons? With what money?" "I have seen Earth's budget proposal. You cannot afford the power cells for my weapons, let alone the weapons themselves." "We understand our limitations," Jiho said, trying to stay calm. "But perhaps we could arrange a payment plan. Or a technology exchange." "Technology exchange?" Vrekakor's laughed harder. What technology does Earth possess that I would want? You still use chemical rockets, chemical! You throw explosives out the back of your ships to move forward. My ancestors abandoned that 10,000 years ago. Minho's jaw tightened. Jiho could see his officer was angry. But Minho said nothing. Good discipline, Vrekor walked to one of the displays. He pointed at a massive cannon. This is the Quantum Ripper. It tears apart the molecular bonds in any material. One shot can destroy a battleship. The price is more than your entire planet's yearly income. He pointed at another display. This missile can track a ship through hyperspace. Impossible to escape. The price could buy everything on your moon. We don't need your most expensive weapons, Hana said. Just effective ones. Effective? Vrekor turned to look at her. Child, do you know what makes a weapon effective? Power, range, speed, these require advanced technology. Technology your species does not have. You are children playing with firecrackers, asking to buy nuclear bombs. Our weapons work fine, Minho said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at him. We've had wars on Earth, thousands of them. Our weapons are tested. Vrekor laughed again. Tested against other humans. That means nothing. You fight with bullets. Pieces of metal pushed by small explosions. This is museum technology. This is what we show children to teach them how primitive some species are. The insult hung in the air. Jiho felt his own anger rising but pushed it down. Getting angry wouldn't help. They needed weapons, not a fight. Perhaps you could show us your most affordable options, Jiho suggested. Vrekor shook his head. There is no point. Even my cheapest weapons require infrastructure you don't have. Power sources you cannot build. Materials you cannot process. Earth should stick to what it knows. Throwing rocks at your enemies, or perhaps harsh language. Sora spoke for the first time. Her voice was quiet but clear. You're saying human weapons are worthless? Not worthless, Vrekor corrected. Just limited, primitive, suitable for your current level of development. In another 1,000 years, perhaps Earth will be ready for real weapons. Until then, do not waste my time. He started to turn away, dismissing them. The meeting was over. Earth would leave empty-handed, just as weak as before. But Minho wasn't done. Wait, Minho said. His voice was sharp. You're very confident about your weapons. Have you ever actually tested them against human technology? Vrekor turned back slowly. His black eyes focused on Minho. Why would I waste resources on such a pointless test? Because you might be surprised, Minho replied. He stepped forward, standing straighter. You sit in your expensive shop and laugh at us. But you've never actually seen what human weapons can do. You just assume we're weak? I don't assume, Vrekor said coldly. I know. Chemistry and physics are universal. Your chemical propulsion is simply inferior to plasma technology. This is fact, not opinion. Before Minho could respond, the shop door opened. Another alien entered, followed by several guards. This one was different from Vrekor. Shorter, covered in blue scales with 6 limbs. The translator identified his species, Draxian. Vrekor, the newcomer called out. Still wasting time with primitives, I see. How the mighty have fallen. Vrekor's expression darkened. Thexal, what do you want? I heard Earth sent a delegation to beg for weapons, Thexal said, grinning. His teeth were sharp and numerous. I came to see if the rumors were true. They are. Look at them, standing here with their pathetic budget hoping for charity. We're not begging, Jiho said firmly. We're negotiating, Thexal laughed. It was a hissing sound like steam escaping from a pipe. Negotiating with what? You have nothing we want. Your technology is ancient. Your resources are common. Your location is strategically worthless. Earth offers nothing to the galaxy except entertainment value. 2 of Thexal's guards laughed along with him. Even some of Vrekkor's employees smiled. The humans were a joke. Everyone knew it. Hana felt her face grow hot with anger. Sora looked at the floor, embarrassed. Yuno, who had been silent until now, clenched his fists. Only Jiho remained completely calm, though his jaw was tight. You mock what you don't understand, Minho said. He was looking at both alien merchants now. Both of you sit here fat and comfortable, selling weapons you've never had to use. You don't know real combat. You don't know real war. Careful, human, Vrekor warned. You speak to the greatest weapons merchants in 3-star systems. Then prove it, Minho challenged. Let's have a demonstration. Your weapons against ours, right here at the station. The testing range you use to show customers what your products can do. The shop went quiet. Everyone stared at Minho. Even Jiho looked surprised. Thexal broke the silence with more hissing laughter. This is wonderful. The primitive challenges the advanced. Please, Vrekakor, accept. I must see this. Vrekakor studied Minho carefully. You propose a weapons test? Human technology against Quiloth technology? Yes, Minho said. If our weapons perform better than yours, you negotiate with us fairly. You give us reasonable prices and payment terms. If your weapons win, we leave and never waste your time again. Earth will find weapons somewhere else. Earth will find nothing, Thexal said. No merchant will sell to a species that can't pay. But yes, this test must happen. I will even offer a prize. If the humans somehow win, which they won't, I will throw in a free shield generator from my own inventory. Vrekakor considered the proposal. His forearms crossed over his chest. The testing range costs money to use. Who pays? We'll pay, Jiho said quickly before Minho could respond. Half now, half after the test. He knew this would eat up most of their remaining budget. But if they left with nothing, the budget wouldn't matter anyway. Done, Vrekakor said. He was smiling again, showing all those teeth. I accept your challenge, humans. This will be amusing. When was the last time I saw someone so eager to embarrass themselves? Tomorrow, Thexal suggested. I will spread the word. Others will want to watch. This is better than any entertainment the station usually offers. Tomorrow is acceptable, Vrekakor agreed. He pointed at Jiho. Bring whatever weapons you want to test. I will select appropriate targets. We will see how your bullets perform against real military equipment. The two merchants left together, already discussing betting pools and who to invite. Their laughter echoed down the corridor. Once they were gone, Jiho turned to Minho. That was not part of the plan. I know, Minho said. I'm sorry, Captain, but I couldn't listen to them anymore. They don't even take us seriously. They need to see what humans can do. And what exactly can we do? Hana asked. We brought samples for demonstrations, not combat tests. We have one railgun, one missile launcher, and some small arms. That's it. That's enough, Minho insisted. Against alien technology that's thousands of years ahead of ours? Hana shook her head. We're going to look like idiots. Sora spoke up quietly. Maybe not. I've been reading about Quiloth weapons. They're very powerful, but they're designed for ship-to-ship combat. Big targets, long ranges. What if we choose targets that play to our strengths? Our strengths? Unyo asked. What strengths? Precision, Sora said. Human weapons are accurate. Very accurate. We spent centuries perfecting targeting systems because we couldn't waste ammunition. Every shot had to count. These aliens have unlimited power sources. They don't care about waste. Jiho nodded slowly. Go on. Railguns are kinetic weapons, Sora continued. Pure physics. A small projectile moving extremely fast. No fancy energy fields, no complex systems. Just mass times velocity, simple but effective. They'll use shields, Hana pointed out. Their shields stop kinetic weapons easily. Do they? Minho asked. Or do they stop slow kinetic weapons? Have they ever faced a projectile moving at significant fractions of light speed? Hana pulled up data on her pad, scrolling through technical specifications. Her eyes widened. The standard Quiloth shield is optimized for energy weapons and missiles. The kinetic barriers are designed to stop debris and small asteroids. Nothing suggests they've tested against military-grade railgun velocities. Because nobody uses railguns anymore, Junho said, understanding now. They're considered outdated technology. Why build complex electromagnetic launch systems when you can fire plasma? Exactly, Minho said. They stopped developing kinetic weapons thousands of years ago. They think the problem is solved. But humans kept developing them because it's what we had. We made them better and better because we had no other choice. Jiho paced back and forth thinking. The plan was crazy. But Minho had a point. The aliens had dismissed human technology without actually testing it. They assumed their advancement meant automatic superiority. That was arrogance. Arrogance created blind spots. We need to contact the ship, Jiho decided. Get every weapon system we have down here. Everything we brought for demonstrations. Also, Sora, I need you to analyze the testing range. Find out what targets they have available. What about the test itself? Hana asked. How do we structure it? Let Vrekakor choose his weapons and targets, Jiho said. He'll pick things that make him look good. We don't challenge that. We just need to make sure our demonstration comes after his. After everyone has seen his technology and thinks they know what to expect? Psychology, Minho said, grinning. Let them get comfortable. Let them think they've already won. Then surprise them. Can we actually win? Junho asked quietly. Jiho looked at his team. They were young, inexperienced in galactic politics, but they were smart, and they understood something the aliens didn't. Humans had spent their entire existence fighting each other. Humans had perfected warfare in ways no peaceful galaxy could match. I don't know if we can win, Jiho admitted, but we're going to try. And even if we lose, we'll make them remember that humans don't give up easily. Outside, word of the challenge was already spreading through the station. By evening, hundreds of aliens knew about it. By night, thousands. The betting pools grew larger. Everyone wanted to see the primitive humans humiliate themselves. Nobody bet on Earth. The testing range occupied an entire section of the station. It was a massive space open to vacuum, with thick armored walls and observation windows made of transparent alloy. The floor was scarred from thousands of previous tests. Burn marks, impact craters, and melted metal told stories of weapons demonstrations gone right and wrong. Jiho and his team arrived early. They wanted time to set up their equipment and examine the space. The range was larger than they expected, at least 300 meters long with multiple target areas at different distances. Some targets were stationary, others moved on tracks. A few floated in the zero-gravity zone at the far end. This is designed for ship weapons, Hana observed. Everything is scaled up. Even the smallest target is bigger than a house. Sora was taking measurements with her equipment. The observation deck can hold maybe 500 people. I'm reading thermal sensors, radiation detectors, and kinetic monitors everywhere. They record everything that happens here. Good, Minho said. Let them record it. Junho was unpacking their weapons from the transport cases. The railgun looked small and simple compared to the massive equipment already mounted at the range. It was essentially a long metal barrel with electromagnetic coils wrapped around it. No fancy displays, no glowing parts, no mysterious alien symbols, just human engineering. This feels wrong, Junho said. We're bringing a gun to a starship fight. We're bringing precision to a power competition, Jiho corrected. Different things. By mid-morning, the observation deck started filling up. Aliens of every type came to watch. Some were merchants, curious about the challenge. Others were military officers from various species, interested in seeing Quiloth technology in action. Many were just station residents looking for entertainment. The human team could hear them talking through the observation windows. The translators picked up their conversations. I heard the humans think they can compete with Quiloth weapons. Impossible. Frekikor's technology is military grade. They're probably just trying to get attention, maybe hoping someone will take pity on them. I bet they don't even get through the basic shields. This is going to be embarrassing. Hana tried to ignore the voices. She focused on calibrating their equipment. Everything had to work perfectly. One mistake and they would confirm every negative thing the aliens thought about humans. At exactly the scheduled time, Frekkor entered the range. He didn't come alone. He brought 6 assistants, all carrying equipment. Behind him walked Thexal with his own entourage. Both merchants wore expensive clothing and confident expressions. The observation deck erupted in cheers. These were famous names in the weapons trade. Seeing them both at once was rare. Frekkor raised one of his forearms for silence. The crowd quieted immediately. He spoke in a voice that carried across the entire range. Welcome everyone to what will surely be a memorable demonstration. Today we test a simple question. Can primitive technology compete with advanced civilization? He paused for dramatic effect. The answer, of course, is no, but we will prove it scientifically. Laughter from the crowd. Thexal was grinning. Even some of the humans felt doubt creeping in. I will demonstrate 4 weapons from my inventory, Frekkor continued. Each represents a different category of warfare. Plasma weapons, kinetic disruptors, molecular destabilizers, and shield technology. Then the humans will have their turn. He gestured toward Jiho's team with barely hidden contempt. Let us begin. Frekkor's assistants wheeled out the first weapon. It was mounted on a heavy platform, roughly the size of a small car. The barrel glowed with blue light. Power cables as thick as a person's arm connected it to a massive generator. The Plasma Annihilator, Frekkor announced. Standard armament for Quiloth heavy cruisers. Maximum range of 3,000 kilometers in space. In atmosphere, somewhat less, but more than sufficient for this demonstration. He selected his target, a block of reinforced armor plating. The specifications appeared on the screens around the observation deck. The armor was rated to withstand meteor impacts and small explosions. 20 centimeters thick, composed of a titanium steel alloy. This armor protects our cargo ships from pirates and debris, Rekakor explained. It is durable and expensive. Let us see how long it lasts. He activated the plasma annihilator. The weapon hummed, building power. The hum became a whine, high and sharp. Then it fired. A beam of blue plasma erupted from the barrel. It crossed the range in an instant and struck the armor target. The metal didn't just melt, it vaporized. In 3 seconds, the entire block was gone, leaving only a cloud of metallic vapor that slowly dispersed. The crowd cheered loudly. Some aliens stood up, applauding. It was impressive. Undeniably impressive. Rekakor smiled and moved to his second weapon. This one was smaller, almost delicate-looking. It resembled a rifle, but with a crystalline component near the muzzle. The kinetic disruptor, he said. This weapon doesn't destroy targets directly. Instead, it disrupts the molecular bonds that hold matter together. Observe. He selected a new target. A solid steel beam, 1 meter thick. The kind of structural support used in building construction, very strong, very durable. The kinetic disruptor fired with a soft pulse. A wave of energy, barely visible, washed over the steel beam. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the beam began to crumble. It fell apart like sand, the metal losing all cohesion. In seconds, a solid steel support became a pile of gray powder. More cheers. Aliens were recording the demonstration on their devices. This was technology worth seeing. Rekakor's third weapon was the largest yet. It required 3 assistants to position it properly. The weapon had multiple barrels arranged in a circle, all pointing at the same target area. The molecular destabilizer, Rekakor announced. Very expensive. Very powerful. This weapon can break down any organic or synthetic material at the atomic level. We typically sell these to mining corporations for breaking up asteroids. But it has other applications. He chose an unusual target this time, a complex machine. It looked like a small spacecraft engine, complete with fuel tanks and control systems. Intact and functional, the molecular destabilizer activated with a deep bass hum that everyone could feel in their chests. All the barrels fired simultaneously. The engine target simply ceased to exist. It didn't explode. It didn't break apart. It just stopped being there. Where a complex machine had been, now there was nothing, not even debris. The crowd was impressed into silence. That level of destruction was frightening. Thexel himself looked grudgingly impressed. And now, Rekakor said, my personal favorite. Not a weapon, but a defense. The Quiloth shield generator. His assistants brought out what looked like a small satellite. They activated it in the center of the range. A shimmering field appeared around it, a dome of energy that distorted the air. This shield can stop plasma, lasers, missiles, bullets, and kinetic projectiles, Rekakor explained. It is standard equipment on all Quiloth military vessels. We have used this technology for 5,000 years. It has never failed. To demonstrate, he fired the kinetic disruptor at the shield. The energy wave struck the barrier and dissipated harmlessly. He fired the plasma annihilator. The plasma beam hit the shield and scattered in a brilliant display of light. The shield held perfectly. As you can see, Rekakor said to the crowd, Quiloth technology is unmatched. Our weapons destroy anything. Our defenses stop everything. He turned to look at the human team. Now let us see what Earth has to offer. The crowd's attention shifted to Jiho and his team. There was laughter. Some aliens were already leaving, assuming the interesting part was over. Jiho stepped forward. His heart was pounding, but his face remained calm. He had been a soldier before becoming a captain. He knew how to control fear. Thank you for the demonstration, he said politely. Very impressive. Now we'll show you something different. Minho and Junho carried the railgun to the firing position. It looked absurd next to Rekakor's massive weapons. The railgun was simple, functional, almost primitive in its design. What is that? Someone in the crowd asked. Is that a metal tube? More laughter. Even Rekakor looked disappointed. He had expected something at least visually interesting. This is a railgun, Hana explained. She spoke clearly, making sure the translators picked up every word. It uses electromagnetic force to accelerate a projectile to extremely high velocities. The technology is old. Humans have been developing it for over 200 years. 200 years? Vreckor scoffed. We abandoned such weapons 10,000 years ago. Why waste energy on accelerating metal when plasma is so much more efficient? Because, Minho said, stepping up to the railgun, sometimes the old ways work best. He looked at Vreckor directly. Your shield. The one that stops everything. I'd like to test it, the crowd murmured with surprise. Thexel laughed out loud. Vreckor stared at Minho for a long moment. Then he laughed. It was a deep rumbling sound that echoed across the testing range. Many aliens in the observation deck joined in. The idea of a primitive kinetic weapon threatening a Quiloth shield was apparently hilarious. You want to shoot my shield? Vreckor asked, still laughing. With that? He pointed at the railgun with two of his forearms. Please be my guest. In fact, I insist. This will prove my point perfectly. He gestured to his assistants. They adjusted the shield generator, making sure it was at full power. The shimmering energy barrier glowed brighter. On the observation deck screens, technical readouts showed the shield operating at maximum capacity. This shield, Vreckor announced to the crowd, can absorb the impact of a small asteroid. It can disperse the energy of direct plasma hits. It has protected Quiloth warships for millennia. But please, humans, give it your best shot. Minho nodded to Junho, who took position at the railgun controls. Sora was already working on the targeting computer. Her fingers moved quickly over the keys, entering calculations. She measured the distance, adjusted for the station's rotation, and calculated the shield's harmonic frequency based on the readouts. Target acquired, Sora said quietly. Jiho stood beside his team. He could feel the weight of hundreds of eyes watching them. This was the moment. If they failed, Earth would be a laughingstock. No merchant would ever take humanity seriously. But if they succeeded... Ready when you are, Jiho said to Junho. Junho activated the railgun's power system. The electromagnetic coils began charging. A high-pitched whine built up, different from the sounds of Vreckor's weapons. This sound was focused, concentrated. The power indicator climbed. 30%, 50%, 70%. In the observation deck, some aliens leaned forward with interest. Others were still chatting among themselves, not paying attention. A few were making bets on how quickly the shield would stop the projectile. 100% charge, Junho announced. Fire, Jiho ordered. Junho pressed the firing button. The railgun fired with a sound like thunder splitting the sky. The electromagnetic coils released their energy in a fraction of a second, accelerating a tungsten projectile down the barrel. The projectile was small, just a metal rod weighing 3 kilograms. But it was moving fast, very fast. The speed was measured in kilometers per second. The projectile crossed the testing range almost too quickly to see. It hit the Quiloth shield in less than 1/100th of a second. What happened next surprised everyone. The shield flickered. The shimmering energy barrier, which had withstood plasma and energy weapons without effort, suddenly destabilized. The impact point showed a bright flash as the shield tried to absorb the kinetic energy, but there was too much energy, delivered too quickly. The shield's capacitors overloaded. The barrier collapsed. The tungsten projectile continued forward, barely slowed. It punched through the shield generator itself, then through the armored backstop behind it. The backstop was designed to stop anything that got through the target area. It was 1/2 meter of reinforced steel and ceramic composite. The projectile went through it like paper. The impact created a sound that reverberated through the entire testing range. It was a physical thunderclap that shook the observation windows. Several aliens jumped in their seats. Alarms started blaring as the range's safety systems detected the backstop breach. Complete silence followed. Everyone stared at the hole in the backstop. It was a clean hole, perfectly round, as wide as a person's head. Through it, they could see into the maintenance corridor beyond. Vreckor's mouth hung open. His black eyes were wide with shock. The confidence had vanished from his expression. Thexel stood up slowly from his seat in the observation deck. He wasn't laughing anymore. Hana checked her instruments, then looked at the data on the range's screens. The numbers were clear. The shield had lasted 0.4 seconds against the railgun projectile. Then it had failed catastrophically. The projectile's kinetic energy had been too concentrated, too sudden, for the shield systems to handle. The shield is designed to disperse energy over time, Sora explained, her voice carrying in the shocked silence. It works beautifully against plasma and energy weapons because those attacks have duration. But our projectile delivered all its energy in an instant. The shield couldn't adapt fast enough. Frekakor found his voice. That shield costs more than your entire ship. You destroyed it with a piece of metal? Tungsten, Minho corrected. And yes, murmuring spread through the observation deck. Aliens were checking their own instruments, verifying what they'd just seen. The data was clear. The human weapon had penetrated what was supposed to be impenetrable. One weapon doesn't prove anything, Thexal called out from his seat. He sounded defensive. Probably just a malfunction in the shield. Bad luck, and would you like us to continue? Jiho asked Frekakor. The Quiloth merchant nodded slowly. He looked dazed. Yes, show me what else you have, Hana stepped forward. It was her turn now. Junho and Hyun brought out their second weapon, a missile launcher. This one looked more advanced than the railgun. It had multiple displays, targeting systems, and a sleek white missile loaded in the tube. This is a human guidance system, Hana explained. The missile itself isn't special. Standard chemical propellant, conventional explosive warhead. But the guidance system is something we've been perfecting for decades. She pointed to the moving targets at the far end of the range. Those targets are on rails, moving in predictable patterns. Simple to hit. May I suggest a more difficult challenge? Vrekkor nodded, still looking stunned. His assistants activated the advanced target mode. A dozen small drones launched into the range. They moved randomly, changing direction constantly, using the same evasion protocols that military ships used. These drones have countermeasures, Vrekkor said. Flares, chaff, jamming signals. They simulate attacking fighters. Very difficult to hit. Perfect, Hana said. She entered commands into the missile launcher. The targeting computer locked onto all 12 drones simultaneously. The missile's guidance system was already calculating intercept courses, predicting movement patterns, identifying the real targets from the decoys. In space combat, Hana said, energy weapons are limited by light speed. Your plasma beam travels fast but not instantaneously. At long ranges, targets can evade. Missiles, however, can adjust their course mid-flight. They can think. They can hunt. She fired the missile. It launched with a burst of flame and smoke. For a moment, it flew straight. Then it began moving. Not random movements, but calculated adjustments. One of the drones released flares, trying to confuse the missile's heat sensors. The missile ignored them. Another drone deployed chaff, releasing clouds of metallic particles to block targeting systems. The missile flew through it. The missile's computer brain was constantly updating its course. It analyzed each drone's movement pattern, predicted where they would be, and adjusted accordingly. When 3 drones tried to group together, using their combined jamming signals, the missile simply switched to optical tracking. The first drone exploded. The missile had struck at dead center. Without pausing, the missile's remaining fuel kicked in. It turned sharply, accelerating toward the second drone. Another hit, then a third. By the time the missile's fuel ran out, it had destroyed 7 of the 12 drones. The remaining 5 had scattered to maximum range, their evasion protocols exhausted. The observation deck was silent again. No laughter now. No dismissive comments. Just silence and the soft sound of dozens of aliens checking their data. Your plasma weapons are powerful, Hana said, but our missiles are smart. We couldn't match your energy output, so we made our weapons intelligent instead. Jiho watched Rekakor's face. The merchant was no longer looking at the humans with contempt. He was looking at them with something else. Calculation, interest, maybe even respect. You have one more demonstration? Frekakor asked quietly. Yes, Jiho said, but we won't fire this one. We'll just explain it. Nari, who had been quiet until now, stepped forward. She was the team's nuclear specialist. She carried a data pad with technical specifications. No actual weapon, just information. This is humanity's most powerful weapon, Nari said. She displayed schematics on the observation deck screens. We call it a thermonuclear device. It uses nuclear fusion to release enormous amounts of energy. The schematics showed a weapon design, not the weapon itself, just the theory behind it. The numbers appeared on the screens. Yield measured in megatons. Blast radius measured in kilometers, thermal pulse effects. Radiation dispersion patterns. Aliens in the observation deck started reading the numbers. Some looked confused. Others looked horrified. This is a bomb, one alien said. A doomsday weapon. It's a strategic deterrent, Nari corrected. Earth has hundreds of these. We developed them decades before we had space travel. We built them when our biggest wars were still fought on our own planet. You made weapons that could destroy your own planet? Texal asked, sounding shocked. Why? To win wars, Minho said simply. Earth doesn't have one government. We have many. They competed. They fought. They built bigger and better weapons. This is the result. These weapons are barbaric, Rekakor said. But his voice wasn't mocking anymore. It sounded unsettled. These weapons are effective, Jiho replied. We can deliver them from submarines under the ocean, from silos hidden underground, from bombers in the atmosphere, or from satellites in orb. For a long moment, nobody spoke. The observation deck, which had been full of laughter and mockery an hour ago, was now completely silent. Hundreds of aliens stared at the screens showing human weapon specifications. The numbers told a story that nobody had expected. Jiho let the silence continue. He had learned in military training that sometimes silence was more powerful than any speech. Let them think. Let them understand what they had just witnessed. Finally, Rekakor spoke. His voice had changed. The arrogance was gone. You brought these weapons to a trade negotiation? No, Jiho said. We brought knowledge of these weapons. The actual devices are back on Earth. We're not stupid enough to transport them casually. But you would use them if necessary, Texal said. It wasn't a question. We would prefer not to, Jiho replied honestly. These weapons cause terrible destruction. But yes, if Earth was threatened, we would use everything we have. That's what we do. Humans don't surrender easily. Rekakor walked to the edge of the testing range. He looked at the hole the railgun had punched through his shield and backstop. He looked at the debris from the destroyed drones. He was thinking, calculating. I need to speak with my business partners, Rekakor said finally. This changes things. He left the range quickly, his assistants following. Texal watched him go, then looked at the human team with an expression that was hard to read. Respect, fear? Maybe both. You've made quite an impression, Texal said. I don't know if that's good or bad for you yet. He left too, taking his guards with him. The observation deck began to empty. Aliens departed in small groups, talking quietly among themselves. Many kept looking back at the humans, as if seeing them for the first time. When the range was finally empty except for the human team, Sora sat down heavily on the equipment crate. Did we just make things better or worse? I don't know, Jiho admitted, but at least they're not laughing at us anymore. They spent the next hour cleaning up their equipment and repairing the range backstop. The station charged them extra for the damage, but Jiho paid without complaint. It was worth it. That evening, back at their shuttle, Jiho received a message. It was from Rekakor requesting another meeting. Not at his shop. At a neutral location, a private conference room in the station's business district. Could be a trap, Minho warned. Could be an opportunity, Hana countered. We'll go, Jiho decided, but we go prepared. The next morning, the entire team arrived at the conference room. Rekakor was already there, but he wasn't alone. 5 other aliens sat with him, each representing different merchant organizations. Jiho recognized their symbols from the research he'd done before the trip. These were major players in the galactic arms market. Please sit, Rekakor said. His tone was polite, professional. We have much to discuss. Jiho and his team sat across the long table. The atmosphere was tense but not hostile. Your demonstration yesterday was enlightening, Rekakor began. He chose his words carefully. We had assumed human weapons were primitive because they used old principles. We were wrong. You don't use old principles because you're primitive. You use them because you've perfected them. That's correct, Jiho said. One of the other merchants spoke. She was a tall creature covered in silver fur. Your railgun technology could revolutionize ship-to-ship combat at close range. Current shields are not designed to handle such concentrated kinetic impacts. Another merchant added, your guidance systems are more sophisticated than anything currently on the market. The computational power required to track and intercept multiple targets simultaneously is impressive. And your nuclear weapons, Rekakor said quietly, are terrifying. Most civilizations abandoned such destructive devices once they achieved space travel. You've kept them, refined them, made them portable and reliable. We've had a complicated history, Jiho said. Our planet has seen much conflict. We learned to be very good at warfare. Perhaps too good, perhaps, Rekakor agreed. But now that Earth is part of the galactic community, that knowledge has value. Commercial value. Jiho understood immediately. You want to buy our technology. Not just me, Rekakor said. Everyone at this table. We represent a consortium that controls 60% of the galactic weapons market. We came to make an offer. He pulled up a contract on the holographic display. The terms appeared in text that the human translators could read. We want licensing rights to your railgun technology, your guidance systems, and your explosive chemistry, Rekakor explained. We will not ask for nuclear weapons. Those are too dangerous for general sale, but the other technologies have applications across multiple industries. And in return? Jiho asked. In return, we offer a partnership, the silver-furred merchant said. Earth receives a percentage of all sales. We also provide manufacturing technology, advanced materials, and energy systems to help Earth develop faster. Additionally, we guarantee defensive weapon systems for Earth at cost price. Jiho looked at Hana. She was already reviewing the contract on her datapad. Her eyes moved quickly across the terms. This is generous, Hana said cautiously. Suspiciously generous is fair, Rekakor corrected. Your technology fills gaps in the market. Gaps we didn't even know existed. The railgun alone will change shield design across the galaxy. We want to be the ones selling that change, not reacting to it. There's also a strategic element, another merchant admitted. If we don't partner with Earth, someone else will. Better to work together than to compete. Jiho understood the logic. The demonstration hadn't just impressed the merchants. It had scared them. They had realized that human weapons, despite being based on old principles, could threaten current military technology. Better to bring humanity into the existing power structure than to let Earth become a disruptive competitor. We need time to review this, Jiho said. And we need to consult with our government. Of course, Rekakor agreed. Take a week. We'll wait, but understand that others already know about your demonstration. Word spreads quickly on this station. If you don't accept our offer, you'll receive others, probably from less reputable organizations. It was a gentle threat wrapped in advice. Jiho appreciated the honesty. The meeting ended with handshakes and formal gestures of respect. As the human team left, Thexaw was waiting outside the conference room. He had been listening somehow. Congratulations, he said. His tone was neutral, neither friendly nor hostile. You came here begging for weapons and left as weapons dealers yourselves. That's quite a transformation. We didn't come here to become dealers, Jiho said. No, but that's what you are now, Thexaw replied. Whether you wanted it or not, Earth has something the galaxy needs. That gives you power. Use it wisely. He walked away, leaving the humans to consider his words. Back at the shuttle, the team gathered to discuss the offer. Junho brought drinks, Sora pulled up the contract for detailed analysis, and Hana started making notes about implications. This could change everything for Earth, Hyun said. Access to advanced technology, a steady income source, and guaranteed defense systems. We'd accelerate our development by decades. But we'd also be selling weapons, Nari pointed out. Technology that could be used in wars we know nothing about. That's a moral question. Earth sells weapons already, Minho countered. We sell to each other. At least this way, we're selling to civilizations that already have massive weapons. We're not introducing destruction to peaceful species. Jiho listened to his team debate. They were all right in different ways. This was a complicated decision with no perfect answer. We'll send the contract to Earth, he decided. Let the politicians and ethicists debate the morality. Our job was to get Earth access to better weapons. We've done that. We've done more than that. Sora looked up from her analysis. Captain, there's something else in this contract, hidden in the technical specifications. They want our manufacturing processes, but they also want to know how we develop these weapons with such limited resources. They want to know how we think, Hana realized. How we innovate under pressure. That's worth more than any single weapon design. Maybe that's Earth's real value, Junho suggested. Not our weapons, but our approach. We spent our entire history competing, fighting, struggling to survive. That created a mindset, a way of solving problems that species who grew up in a peaceful galaxy don't have. Jiho nodded slowly. The aliens have been cooperating for thousands of years. They share technology, trade freely, work together. But that means they think similarly. They've optimized for peace and prosperity. And we optimized for survival and victory, Minho finished. Different optimization, different results. They sat in silence, considering the implications. Earth hadn't joined the galaxy as an equal. Earth had joined as something unique. A planet that had spent its entire existence at war with itself, had developed capabilities that peaceful civilizations had forgotten or never learned. That night, Jiho sent an encrypted message back to Earth. It contained the contract, the demonstration recordings, and a detailed report. He recommended acceptance but noted the ethical considerations. The decision would take weeks to finalize, involving debates in government chambers and analysis by council